What's up, y'all, and welcome to Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network, the best network for all your Philadelphia sports needs. This is your host, Michael Roscoe. The NFL community comes together to help a former Eagles Super Bowl champion in need. Plus, who is the new number 0, and what did Bryce Huff have to say regarding his Philadelphia departure? We're going to talk all that and more, so without wasting any more time, let's dive right into it. Starting off this week's episode, the Eagles celebrated their 92nd birthday earlier this week on Tuesday. On July 8th, 1933, the best team in the NFL, your Philadelphia Eagles, was born. The team was bought for a mere $3,500, which in today's money would have been just about $86,600, from the bankrupt team of the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets, which ran from 1924 to 1931, achieving one NFL championship title in 1926. The original Eagles owners were Bert Bell and Lud Way. In 1994, Jeffrey Lurie would purchase the Philadelphia Eagles for a staggering $195 million. Today, the team's value is at a whopping $6.6 billion, ranking in the top 10 of most valuable NFL teams. Since 1933, the Eagles have won 3 NFL championships, which were basically the Super Bowl before the Super Bowl was a thing starting in 1967, doing so in 1948, 1949, and 1960. The Eagles would also merge with the Pittsburgh Steelers to create the Pennsylvania Steagles for the 1943 season, and would achieve 2 Super Bowl titles in the 2017 and 2024 NFL seasons. So we're wishing a happy birthday to the Philadelphia Eagles, and hopefully we can add another Super Bowl ring or 2 before the Birds turn 100. In other Eagles news, we got a little bit of positive vibes for Eagles fans as first-round pick linebacker Jahad Campbell was seen in a workout video over this past weekend. He's completing agility exercises, rip moves with a tackling dummy, and what's especially comforting is that he's looking like he's got equal movement across both arms, which is fantastic considering he had shoulder surgery to replace a torn labrum earlier this year. Now, there still isn't any clear timeline on when we can see Jahad Campbell on the field, but with training camp arriving less than 2 weeks from now, this is a positive sign. Keep up the good work, Jahad Campbell. Can't wait to see you at full strength. All right, y'all, this next topic is on a more serious note compared to my usual antics that I got going on the show. So, way back in Super Bowl 52, as the team embraces the franchise's first Super Bowl title, ESPN reporter Emmanuel Acho embraces former teammate and Eagles Super Bowl champion Brian Bauman, a linebacker rocking the number 50 jersey. 7 years later, Bauman is now fighting for his life. The 38-year-old NFL veteran was recently diagnosed with an aggressive, rare form of brain cancer that has required multiple surgeries and forms of treatments that is considered extremely life-threatening. Bauman played in the NFL from 2011 through 2017, playing his final game in Super Bowl 52 against the New England Patriots. Bauman was diagnosed with cancer earlier this year in February and has been undergoing treatment since. The NFL community has already come out in support of Bauman since his diagnosis was made public through a GoFundMe page dedicated to raising funds for Bauman's treatment. For example, former Texan teammate J.J. Watt donated $10,000 and former Eagles teammate Chris Long has donated $3,000. For anyone who has ever had a friend or a family member with cancer, or who has had battles with cancer themselves, it can be a tough and exhausting road, and having support from others is extremely crucial. If you would like to donate to Brian Bauman's GoFundMe page, I have included it in the link in the description of this episode. I totally understand that we are all in a variety of different financial situations in our lives, and I get it. Just even keeping someone like Brahman in your thoughts can go a long way. We at Second and 15 hope for the absolute best during Brian's recovery. Okay, shifting gears to some other Eagles related news. We have a new number 0 for the Philadelphia Eagles. When the number 0 jersey was allowed back into the NFL, our first agent 0 was running back DeAndre Swift, who performed well with the Birds before his departure to the Bears in free agency. Then it was defensive end Bryce Huff, and we all know how that turned out. But now we have a new number 0, and hopefully the pattern of having a good number 0 and then a bad number 0 will lead us to another good number 0. Edge rusher Josh Uche, who was wearing number 13, will now be wearing number 0, as evident from NFLShop.com having the jersey for sale on their website. Now, I have hopes for Uche, but are my expectations high? Not particularly. I just want to see an Agent Zero ball out again like DeAndre Swift did and not be a dud like Bryce Huff was. And speaking of Huff, going into our final topic on this week's episode, former Eagles defensive end Bryce Huff had some choice words when in an interview he was asked about his recent trade to the San Francisco 49ers, to which he said, quote, "If I'm being 100% honest, I wanted a trade like fairly early on. Just because of how things went in Philly, I knew pretty early on it wasn't a fit. I knew a trade wasn't going to happen during the 2024 season, but I talked to my agent about it and was like, when it's all said and done, I may need to step to put myself in the best position. I kind of knew where it was headed fairly early into the season." And looking back when I was reading all of that, I'm not sure how I feel about it. It kind of doesn't sit right with me. Like, how early are we talking about? Like, after his injury in November or like after the first couple of games of the season? Like, I wish I knew the timeline in which he thought about a trade or spoke to his agent about a trade or just the idea of a trade had crossed his mind. And just for reference, Bryce Huff played in 10 total games before his injury. And I think he'd missed like 5 across the season or something like that in the postseason. And he was a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. To me, if you're thinking about a trade early on in the season from a team while you were still on that team, I think for a lot of players, and I think this for Bryce Huff as well, that's going to fuck with your performance. I mean, anyone who's ever played a sport or been in a competition, something like that, that hasn't been in their right mindset or completely 100% focused on the game or that competition, they will probably tell you that they performed kind of poorly, if not extremely poorly. It kind of makes sense when you think about it. In the 10 games that Bryce Huff played before his injury, he had only made 10 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble, which was nowhere near where he was in the first 10 games of the 2023 season, where he had 19 total tackles and 5 sacks. He was balling from the get go on in New York, and things like trades and shit like that, it probably didn't even cross his mind. He was just focused on the game and doing the best he could. But with Philly, that just didn't seem like the case early on, hence why his numbers looked way worse this past year. It just didn't seem like Huff's head was in the game, and we can't have that for someone that we're paying $17 million dollars a year for. You gotta be all fucking in from the very start all the way to the end, which is why I think it was part of the reason Philly was better off trading him. And now that Huff's reunited with Robert Saleh, but it's in San Francisco. And if you're like me and a lot of other Eagles fans, I can't fucking stand the 49ers. I'm pretty sure we still live rent free in their heads from like 3 seasons ago. But I digress. Hopefully, after training camp, this Bryce Huff talk will just wind down and everyone can focus on this season and the edge rushers that we have, especially with training camp just 2 weeks away. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow us on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok by searching at Second and 15, or by the full name, Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. You can also find the audio for each and every single episode releasing weekly on Thursday mornings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, Pocket Casts, or wherever you get your podcasts, with the video uploading to YouTube later that same day. This week's episode, Second and 15, and Old City Sports Network are sponsored by Custom Concessions. If you're in the market for repairs to your food truck or trailer, or you're just getting into the food truck business and need a company for reliable service, check out none other than Custom Concessions. They use high quality materials and provide high quality service. Use the sponsors tab at oldcitysports.com to check them out today. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our merchandise tab to get some awesome gear from Second and 15. We got hoodies, we got t-shirts, and we got tons of other stuff. Check it out at oldcitysports.com. Once again, thanks y'all for joining in. This is Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. We will see you all next week. Don't forget to stay fly like an eagle. And as always, go birds.